My name is Rodion Raskolnikov. I live in the cold, gray streets of St. Petersburg, trapped in a cycle of poverty and despair. My days are spent in a cramped, suffocating room, where hunger gnaws at my body and hopelessness clouds my mind. Once, I was a law student, filled with dreams and aspirations. But those dreams faded, crushed under the weight of my financial struggles. Now, all that remains is a restless mind, plagued by questions of morality, justice, and the nature of human existence. As I walked through the city's crowded streets, observing the misery and injustice that surrounded me, one thought began to dominate my mind. Why is the world so cruel? Why must some suffer while others thrive? I convinced myself that I was different, perhaps even extraordinary, above the petty rules of ordinary people. Great men, I thought, must be willing to break moral and legal boundaries for a greater good. If figures like Napoleon could act beyond conventional morality to achieve greatness, why couldn't I? This belief led me to a radical conclusion. If I could eliminate one vile person, a person whose existence brought suffering to others, it would not only be justified, but beneficial. My mind fixated on Alyona Ivanovna, a greedy and heartless pawnbroker who preyed on the desperation of the poor. Killing her, I reasoned, would rid the world of a parasite and provide me with the means to escape my misery. It wasn't just a crime. It was a test of my theory, a way to prove I was not bound by the same rules as ordinary men. One fateful evening, I acted on this belief. I entered Alyona's apartment, an axe concealed beneath my coat, and struck her down. But my carefully crafted plan unraveled when her innocent sister, Lizaveta, unexpectedly walked in. Panic overtook me, and I killed her too. The violence, the blood, it all happened so fast. As I fled the scene, clutching a few trinkets of little value, I was already beginning to doubt the righteousness of my actions. The days that followed were a nightmare. Far from freeing me, the crime imprisoned my mind. I fell ill, consumed by fever and paranoia. Every glance, every shadow seemed to accuse me. I avoided people, fearing they could see the guilt etched on my face. Yet, my internal conflict was the heaviest burden. I tried to convince myself that my actions were justified, that I had done what needed to be done. But deep down, I felt the weight of my conscience, relentless and unforgiving. It was during this time that I met Sonya Marmeladov. She was a woman forced into a life of degradation to support her impoverished family, yet she remained pure in spirit, her faith and compassion untouched by her suffering. Sonya was everything I was not, selfless, forgiving, and steadfast in her belief in redemption. Her presence stirred something within me, a faint glimmer of hope that perhaps my soul was not beyond saving. Meanwhile, Detective Porfiry Petrovich loomed over my life like a specter. He never accused me outright, but his probing questions and calculated demeanor were unnerving. Porfiry seemed to know my guilt, but he did not seek to expose me. Instead, he let my conscience do the work, allowing my guilt to gnaw at me from within. As the pressure mounted, Sonya's words became my solace. She urged me to confess, to seek redemption through truth and suffering. I resisted at first, clinging to the illusion of my superiority. But her unwavering faith and the crushing weight of my guilt finally broke me. I confessed to my crime, surrendering to the authorities. They sent me to Siberia, a punishment as cold and unyielding as the landscape itself. At first I remained defiant, justifying my actions and clinging to my arrogance. But Sonya followed me, standing by my side despite everything. Her quiet strength and unconditional love slowly melted the ice around my heart. For the first time, I began to see my crime for what it was. Not an act of greatness, but a betrayal of my humanity. In the solitude of my exile, I embarked on a journey of spiritual awakening. I came to understand that true freedom lies not in breaking the rules, but in accepting responsibility for one's actions. Sonya's love and faith guided me toward redemption, teaching me that no soul is beyond salvation. Now, as I reflect on my past, I see my crime not as a test of greatness, but as a tragic mistake, born of pride and desperation. I sought to transcend human morality, but I only succeeded in losing myself. And yet, through my suffering, I have found a path to peace. I am no longer the man I was. I am no longer bound by the illusions of my own superiority. This is my story. A story of guilt, redemption, and the fragile line between good and evil. And now I ask you, if faced with the same choices, would you have the strength to resist, or would you fall as I did?